Hello, good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight. I'm Roger Johnson. Wednesday evening, thank you for your company. Here is our top story. The Cumbrian men who say that lives are being put at risk because they can't access a crucial cancer test. But as we will discover, the issue is not restricted to Cumbria. It affects men over 50 everywhere. It's an exclusive story and we'll have all the details. Also tonight, stuck in the mud. The canal boat owners left stranded after the Bridgewater Canal burst its banks in the New Year floods. Tribute to a beacon of love. The Blackpool singer Linda Nolan has died after 20 years living with breast cancer.
I've just got really good memories from even being a child. She was the naughty auntie, you see, and I've had many, many nights out with her.
I'm at Goodison Park, where Everton fans will be hoping that David Moyes' return in his first game in charge will give them just the boost they need.
And many of us saw glorious sunshine like this today. And the good news is there's more to come. Join me at the end of the programme. I'll have the full forecast.
A cancer support group in South Cumbria says that men's lives are being put at risk because they can't easily access a key screening test. They say that some local GPs are reluctant to give PSA tests, which can detect prostate cancer in men without symptoms. Now, the organisation which represents them won't comment, but our health correspondent, Jill Dummigan, has uncovered this story. Here's her exclusive report.
The joke here is that this is the club no one wants to be in. Everyone in this room either has or had prostate cancer or has a family member who does.
It's like joining an extended family. Everybody provides support. We all know each other on first name terms.
And all the different problems that they have with the cancer, and we have a social life as well.
We do a lot of social work with men who won't come to the group as well, and we've got a lot of people that really do need support with regard to the mental health and the welfare.
But today the main talking point's about testing and the difficulties some people are having in accessing it.
The information that we're getting with regards to men being turned away from GP surgeries, that's getting worse. We've got lots and lots of men that are being diagnosed at an earlier age in this area, and yet we've still got GPs and GP surgeries that are actually saying, you don't need it, you don't need a test, it's a waste of time.
I got the news that I had a terminal illness, so I've got stage 4 prostate cancer, completely out the blue. No symptoms, no warnings, nothing. All I had was a pain in my shoulder.
When Sir Chris Hoy revealed his terminal cancer diagnosis in November, there was an upsurge in men asking for a blood test, which measures something called PSA. A raised level could indicate prostate cancer. The test isn't seen as completely reliable. It can miss cancers or give false positives, but it remains one of the main tests for prostate cancer. And the NHS states that any man over 50, even without symptoms, can go to the GP and ask for that test. And once the GP has explained the pros and cons, if the patient still wants to go ahead, they should be able to get it. So why do the people here say many aren't? The organisation representing GPs in the area didn't want to comment, but a national charity which campaigns for more PSA testing says it's a countrywide problem.
Some areas are better than others, and I think it depends on whether the NHS are under difficult pressure at the present time in that area. But in the main, yes, we get many calls every week saying, can they have a test with us? Or could they have a home testing kit with us? Because their GP will not give them a PSA test.
Back in Barrow, a local charity is urging men and women to go to the GP early if they're worried about any cancer and not be put off.
I think we know our bodies best. We know when there's changes happening. We know when something's not right. So I think it's going back and it's being persistent to ask for, a doctor's appointment.
The organisation, which commissions all healthcare for the area, gave us a statement confirming that GPs should follow national guidelines on testing men without symptoms who request it, that they're aware of reports that some GPs don't offer PSA tests to men without symptoms, and that they're working with the local support group to improve their offer to men in Furness. Jill Dummigan, BBC North West Tonight, Barrow.
Now, a 2-year-old boy has died after what's being described as a medical episode at a children's nursery. The emergency services were called to the Early Learners Day nursery at Bootle in Merseyside yesterday. The boy was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. The police are investigating. Now, in the last hour, there's been reports of a loud bang and smoke close to the Heysham nuclear power station. We've had this picture from a viewer called Graham. We understand it is a minor operational issue and that, in fact, the smoke has been identified as steam, so there is no need to worry. A lot of people in the area had reported hearing the bang. Back in 2019, Heysham 2 had a similar incident, which was later described as a non-planned shutdown after an electrical fault. A man from Salford who spent 17 years in jail for a rape which he didn't commit says that he feels vindicated by the resignation of the chair of the Criminal Cases Review Commission. While Andrew Malkinson was in prison, the Commission twice rejected his submissions that he was innocent. He's called for a full review of the CCRC and says that he hasn't yet received any compensation. His lawyer says that she hopes Helen Pitcher's resignation will lead to change.
The news about the resignation gives me hope that the Criminal Cases Review Commission can now be reformed, root and branch, and so that other people like Andy, who have been wrongfully convicted and who are languishing in prison, can have their cases properly investigated.
Now, tributes are being paid tonight to the Blackpool singer and entertainer Linda Nolan, who died this morning at the age of 65. Linda was diagnosed with breast cancer almost 20 years ago and died at Blackpool Victoria Hospital earlier with her family beside her. Linda, of course, rose to fame with the Nolan sisters in the 1970s before having her own successful solo career. We're going to speak to her nephew, Shane, after this report from Davinia Ramos.
Linda Nolan rose to fame in the 1970s alongside her sisters. Their biggest hit was I'm in the Mood for Dancing and cemented them as one of the UK's biggest girl bands. She was born in Ireland, but Blackpool was home for most of her life, and she was honoured in the town with a blue plaque in 2023 along with her sisters.
She was a star on stage and off, and that warmth of personality, brought many audiences to tears.
It's not worth a day. She left the Nolans in 1983 and had a successful solo career, never forgetting her Blackpool roots. She had an 8-season residence as Maggie May on Blackpool Central Pier from 1986 to 1993. And there's an exhibition dedicated to Linda and the Nolans, which she helped to curate.
She was so generous with her time and her memories and her stories, and it is because of that we've been able to, really showcase her time and experiences here.
She was married to Brian Hudson for 26 years until he died from liver disease. She'd been told she had breast cancer just 2 years before his death. And despite receiving the all clear, she told us in 2018 that the cancer had returned and was incurable.
I'm determined not to let it rule my life, whatever life I have left. They do have women living with this particular diagnosis for 10, 15, 20 years. So hopefully I will be one of those. If I'm not, I don't know how long I've got, so I'm going to have the best time.
Her family and friends have been paying tribute to her today. In a tweet, her sister Colleen Nolan said she would forever be in their hearts. And Tommy Cannon, who worked with her, said he was heartbroken to hear about her death. She died peacefully this morning at the age of 65, surrounded by her siblings.
Davinia Ramos there, looking back on the life of Linda Nolan. Well, Linda's nephew Shane, son of her sister Colleen, whose tribute we saw in that report, is also a performer. He spent hours at his aunt's side yesterday, and he told me earlier about his happy memories with her.
Oh, where to start with my Auntie Linda? She was just... before the cancer, and even during the cancer, she was just life and soul, party, loved a drink. That's the Irish in her. I've just got really good memories from even being a child. she was the naughty auntie, you see. So she used to let me swear and little things like that before my mum came and picked us up, and little bits like that. I've got really good memories, and I've had many nights out with her.
And I read you posted on social media you were able to get to see her just before she died, which, although you've got all those happy memories, it's still nice to be able to have that time, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? She was fighting right till the end. We got a call yesterday morning. My mum went and seen her a couple of days ago, I think now, and she was with her all day, and she was up chatting and talking in hospital, and she came over thinking she was going to be all right. Everyone did. But then she went to bed that night. My mum got another call at 3 a.m. She drove straight over. So she was there from 5:30 yesterday. And it just deteriorated from then.
And your mum, your auntie, your other aunts as well, for people of a certain age, and indeed, of a more recent age, because their careers have in one way or another carried on, they were a massive part of many people's lives, Saturday nights all over the place, for many years. You must be very proud of what she achieved.
Oh, I'll be honest, it's me and my siblings, and then my cousins. We didn't realise how big and famous they were until they did the tour in 2008, and it was madness. Like people screaming, people up dancing, like they were getting encores, and it was just crazy. So. I mean, I always knew that they were famous, but you don't realise how big they were and how inspirational they were for so many, especially today, the lovely comments we've had, fans from all over the world messaging me, and it's so lovely to see.
Well, listen, our thoughts are with you and with all your family, and we are really grateful to you, Shane, for taking the time to talk to us and the viewers on North West Tonight this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Yeah, they were fantastic, the Nolans, weren't they? Our thoughts with all of Linda's family and friends, many of them in Blackpool, this evening. Now, MPs have warned that a lost generation of children could leave school without receiving the special educational needs and disabilities help which they require. The Public Accounts Committee says that the system is in disarray, with parts of the North West among the worst performing areas. Katie Barnfield has this report.
When David's son was diagnosed with a developmental disorder, it was the start of a years-long battle to get him help. They tried to get an education, health and care plan, which puts in place support for a child with special educational needs. But despite his diagnosis, it was refused. We're not naming David's son at his own request.
We were left with him again, struggling in school. We went to mediation, which is thousands of pounds is paid out. And in mediation, they said he absolutely deserves an educational healthcare plan. That was 2 years of battling constantly. I've got a degree. That was a lot easier to get than this educational healthcare plan.
Despite finally getting approval from Sefton Council for an EHC plan, David says it's still a constant struggle, with new problems every year it's reviewed.
So this is the proposed one. Now, each yellow sticky note is a mistake and an error. So I have now had to say to the authority, no, I am not happy, and we are now having another meeting. They vary completely to factual errors, comments that don't make sense.
A report released today by a committee of MPs said the special educational needs system in the UK is in disarray, warning of a postcode lottery that could lead to a lost generation of children. There's a time limit of 20 weeks for local authorities to issue an EHC plan. In the North West, the worst performing areas are St Helens, Stockport and Cheshire West and Chester, where less than 7% of children get their plan on time. By contrast, in the best performing areas, over 90% of plans are being produced within the 20-week limit.
Often you can feel broken, you can feel you are hitting your head against a brick wall, and you're battling and battling and battling all the time, and there is a cost and it's draining.
Sefton Council told us that supporting families and children with special educational needs is a real priority. They said the challenges and pressures in the system extend across the country, but they're committed to continuing to improve their services. The government says it's making progress on the issue with £1 billion investment in provision. Katie Barnfield, BBC North West Tonight.
Katie Barnfield there with that report. Now, about 3 in every 5 public toilets have closed over the past decade as councils watch how they spend their pennies. And if you've been in any of our town centres, you'll know that that's the case. It costs about £25,000 a year to maintain a facility. Well, our political editor, Annabelle Tiffin, has been to meet one woman who was too anxious to leave home in case she couldn't find a toilet.
Public toilets closing is more than an inconvenience, especially for someone like Lucy.
So I have like multiple stoma bags in there, some wipes, some disposable bags so that I can dispose of it in like a safe way.
Lucy from Littleborough was diagnosed with colitis when she was 17 and she now has a stoma bag.
It's just like, to me, it's like brushing my teeth. Like it's just part of my routine, it's part of my daily routine.
Lucy blogs about fashion and her stoma bag. She's one of 500,000 people in the UK who live with inflammatory bowel disease. Symptoms include having to rush to the loo urgently and often.
There was a point where I didn't really leave my house for it was about 6 weeks, and that was just due to being in an awful flare-up, and it was just the anxiety of going out just wasn't worth it.
These loos run by Rochdale Council at Hollingworth Lake are open and clean, but that's not always the case. Public toilets are being wiped out. It's estimated about 60% have closed since 2010, often falling victim to council cuts.
There is no legislation that says a council has to provide public toilets. Because there's no legislation, there is no funding that goes along with it. So councils have to use money that they have for other items, such as cleaning the streets, emptying the bins, looking after parks and cemeteries. But public toilets is probably taking the biggest hit of all.
When these toilets closed in Morton in the Wirral, they were taken over by a local community group, but as storage, not as loos. And local people still miss them.
I think it's a big issue because we go out quite a lot walking in different places, and you have to hunt around for a toilet, and you shouldn't have to do that.
No, and you don't drink anything because you think, no, I can't have a drink of water.
I'm not going for a cup of tea just in case, so.
Does it matter if we have public toilets, do you think?
Of course it does. If I walk from here to there, I'm going to go to the toilet.
The British Toilet Association is calling for a change in the law so councils have to provide public loos. They also want a toilet commissioner to make sure they get proper funding. They're holding more talks with the government next month. A spokesperson for the government said that local authorities were best placed to understand local priorities, including on the important issue of provision of public toilets.
I feel like there'd be a lot of people that would benefit, even people with chronic illness, disabilities, elderly, there's so many different people. Everyone has to use a toilet, so. Amazing and supportive, so.
Annabelle reporting there on the issue of public conveniences. Now, one of the most striking images from all the destruction caused by the New Year's Day floods was of the Bridgewater Canal, wasn't it, near Dunham Massey in Cheshire. The torrential rain overnight, I'm sure you remember them, caused the banks in a raised section of the canal to collapse, and that led to the water flooding the surrounding farmland. But it also meant that many of the houseboats near the collapsed section were left stuck in the mud, as Anna Jameson's been finding out today.
I woke up and I could hear the ropes going.
Panic and confusion.
Yeah, I know, 2025's off to a good start, isn't it?
This is how boat owners woke up on New Year's Day.
Yeah. There's been so much rain, I reckon there's been a breach.
She was right. The Bridgewater Canal near Dunham Massey had breached.
It must have been about 4:30, 4:45, was it?
4:30, and the water was lapping over here because we'd had a month's rain in 2 days. So our boat, because it's tied up so tight, the water lifted that side up, so we were tilted this way. And the next thing, there was an enormous bang, and that lot collapsed down there.
2 weeks on, emergency stop logs were installed, leaving 27 houseboats grounded. This one drifted to the centre.
The breach is actually 200 metres behind the Porter Dam, which you can see behind me. Now, another 2 temporary dams are going to be installed tomorrow. Once that is done, the canal water will enter the space again and will restore slowly to its natural levels.
In a statement, Bridgewater Canal says it's spoken to an independent boat builder who's confirmed that a boat hull in a seaworthy state shouldn't be impacted. It adds that it's liaising with the Canal and River Trust, who say the refloating of boats shouldn't be an issue. Around 15 miles away at Preston Brook, this fuel carrier family business is now under threat.
We've lost at least half of our trade, and because there's now obviously no access for the boats, some people are starting to already make plans to leave the canal altogether.
Could your business fold?
Yes. Yeah, it could fold entirely. This could be the end of it.
Well, we've got a roof over our heads, albeit a slanted one, so we're better off than a lot of people. You know, we can't fall anymore. We can't go any further down. We've just got to wait for the water to come in to rise us up again.
Anna Jameson, BBC North West Tonight in Little Bullington.
As I said, they were spectacular images, weren't they? But you have to spare a thought for the people who were so badly impacted. Now, sport. A new era, in inverted commas, begins at Everton Football Club tonight. David Moyes returns for his second spell in charge. Richard is live for us at Goodison Park ahead of their first game. And the mission, Rich, with a new stadium to come, and you with a few friends behind you, is a very simple one.
Yeah, it really is, Roger. Yeah, it's such an important season, isn't it, for Everton with that new stadium. All these Everton fans are hoping that David Moyes, in his second spell, as you say, really can make the difference. It'll be fascinating to see if he can have an impact tonight. He hasn't had much time, has he, with the players on the training pitch. Only a few days to work with them, but no doubt there will be a boost tonight. It'll be an incredible atmosphere inside Goodison Park, you can be sure of that. Here's what a few fans had to say to me a short time ago.
Very happy to see him back. Of course, a bit of speculation over how he'll do 23 years on, but hopefully he'll get a win for the fans and they'll get back behind him again.
I didn't quite know who I wanted if it wasn't Moyes, but for Moyes to come back, I think it's the time.
I think it'd be electric, yeah.
It's like really nice he's come back for the last season here.
Bring back the good positive times at Everton.
You're confident?
Yeah. 1-0. 1-0 Tarkowski.
Let's hope that Everton do get that boost that they need tonight. I'm going to mention this a little quietly. Liverpool at the top of the table are 6 points clear.
There's obviously still belief and hope. You know, in the changing room there's some of the best players in the world in there, so it's possible. I can see the improvements in the performances recently. You know, we're getting better and better, so just keep going in that way and hopefully we can get back to our levels.
Blackburn Rovers play tonight, both the men and the women, against the same team, Portsmouth, in the Championship and the Women's FA Cup, respectively. Let's hope that they can do well tonight. I do have the team, by the way, Roger, for Everton tonight. Just looking quickly through it, it looks pretty much like a Sean Dyche team might look. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in there and so on. It looks pretty much the same. We shall see whether he can have an impact tonight. Thank you very much. I've got the scarf. Richard. We're all ready. From here, back to you, Rog.
Yeah, well done. You're an honorary Evertonian for the night. Right, let's have a look at the weather. Molly's here. How's it looking? Not too bad outside Goodison Park.
Gorgeous. It's been lovely, hasn't it, today? Although it was a bit of a misty, murky start for many of us, but it did turn out much more like this. Beautiful blue skies and sunshine. Thank you very much for sending your photos in. We love to see them. Now, if you'd like to send your own in, you can do. You can send them to me on socials, or better yet, you can become a weather watcher, and we'll try our very best to get your photos on the telly. Now, how is it looking for tomorrow? Well, more of the same. We're going to see much more sunshine tomorrow. And it will be a chilly start tomorrow, though, so it won't be immediate sun and glorious sunshine. And if we take a look at what's happening, this is how it's looking. So we've got high pressure dominating at the moment, and we've got these weather fronts here. That keeping those at bay, so we shouldn't see those until the weekend at least. This is how it's looking overnight. You can see it will be a clear night. Now, whilst I've just said it's going to be unseasonably mild, actually it's going to be a chilly night because of that clarity. Temperatures dropping to around freezing, and you can see there will be some mist and fog starting to develop in more northern spots and around Cheshire in the early hours, and that will linger for a bit tomorrow. But it will brighten up as well, and we should see a very similar day tomorrow. Temperatures around 8 degrees Celsius rather. So a really, really nice day again tomorrow. Slightly cooler though than today. And you can see as we head towards the weekend, we will see much more cooler conditions coming in. But for now, nice sunny weather, Roger.
Yeah, not too bad, is it? We'll take that. Nice sunny skies and cold. It's all right. Notice the Isle of Man. It's quite warm on the Isle of Man compared with everywhere else.
Yeah, I know.
Little hot spot, isn't it?
It is, indeed.
Thanks, Molly. Right, that's it from the team. Thank you very much indeed for your company. I'm back with the late news at 10:30, so join me then if you can. But in the meantime, whatever you're doing, thanks for watching. Have a cracking evening. Bye-bye.
I know.